Set in picturesque Grafton, Vermont, the Grafton Village Cheese Company produces handmade cheddar cheeses using old-fashioned methods in modern conditions. At Grafton Village Cheese, Vermont pride is the main ingredient in their award-winning cheddars. Cheddar cheese has been a part of Vermont's history and heritage for almost 200 years. A tradition that began in England, cheddar cheese making was a way for farmers to use their surplus milk in a time when refrigeration was not available. In Grafton, the history of cheddar goes back to the late 1800s, when local farmers formed the Grafton Cooperative Cheese Factory in the hills of southern Vermont. In 1912, the cheese factory burned down and was lost. 50 years later, the nonprofit Wyndham Foundation began restoring much of historic Grafton, the old tavern, the blacksmith shop, and the Grafton Village Cheese Company. Steel vats replaced the old wooden ones, and traditional Grafton cheddar was once again a part of life in this Vermont town. And the most important ingredient in Grafton cheddar has remained the same.
Pride. It's a lot of, you really have to like what you're doing. I mean, you can go through the steps and you can make cheese, but you can really like what you're doing and make a great cheese.
When you think of the word cheddar, you imagine the sharp, aged cheese, which is one of America's favorites. But actually, cheddar is also a verb. It means doing something. And that something is turning the high butterfat milk of Jersey cows into Vermont gold. The process begins on Vermont's farms with the milk of Jersey cows. The farmers who provide the milk for Grafton cheddar do not use growth hormones, and the milk is tested for antibiotics. The cheddar produced is 100% natural, free of chemical preservatives or additives. Grafton cheese uses 300,000 pounds of milk, that's 36,000 gallons, a week. It takes 10 pounds of milk to make 1 pound of cheddar. The milk is delivered fresh each day, and the cheese-making process begins. The equipment used is modern, but the methods are the same as the Grafton cheesemakers used in the 1800s.
Here at Grafton, we do it all by hand, so we can actually feel the curd, whether it's cooked long enough or maybe you need that extra 5 minutes to cook it a little bit more to make it a better cheese.
Head cheesemaker Scott Fletcher gives his personal attention to every step of the process. He's been teaching milk how to be cheese for over 30 years.
Number one is the great milk and a slow process of making it. We take a few shortcuts, but it's still basically pretty slow.
First, the milk is heated. Rennet is added to start fermentation and to separate the solids from the liquids, or the curds from the whey. At this point, it begins to look like custard and firms up. The cheesemakers draw curd knives through the mixture to break it up. They continue to stir and cook it at 100 degrees until the right acidity is reached. When the curds are just right, they'll bounce when you drop them. The whey is then drained from the vats and used as animal feed or fertilizer. About 90% of the milk used is drained off as whey. The curds are raked to the side of the vat and cut into slabs. As the whey drains, the slabs are turned and stacked. This is cheddaring, the process of flipping the slabs of curd. When the slabs are perfect, they'll have the texture of a cooked chicken breast. They are milled and cut into small pieces the size of French fries. As paddles turn these curds, salt is added in a process that Scott Fletcher calls feeding the chickens. Although the cheese-making process is far from over, this can now be called cheese.
The curd, after we milled it, and we put the salt on, it's driving the moisture out, and it's putting the flavor of the salt in, and it'll get shiny color. And when you chew it, it kind of squeaks, so we've always called it squeak.
It's hard to believe this mellow cheese will become sharp, pungent cheddar. If the cheese will be seasoned with garlic or sage, that is added at this point. Then the curds are shoveled into hoops, actually rectangular molds, and pressed to remove any whey left in the cheese. Each hoop weighs over 60 pounds, so this part of the job requires some heavy lifting. Once all the moisture is drained, the block will only weigh about 42 pounds. The blocks are cut, vacuum sealed, and stored at 45 degrees for 6 months to 3 years. The longer the cheese stays in storage, the sharper the taste.
The cheese breaks down over the years. It'll tend to dry out a little bit, the moisture will escape, and the cheese will get considerably sharper.
5,200 pounds of cheese are produced each day at Grafton. After aging, the cheese is cut and double coated with wax to seal it. First, a clear coating of wax is used, then a colored coating. Grafton's cheddar is now ready to be shipped to stores around the country. Grafton's signature product is the 2-year-old Classic Reserve Cheddar, an aged cheese with the complexity of flavor so enjoyed by cheese lovers. The 1-year-old Premium Cheddar delivers the full flavor of old-fashioned farmhouse cheddar. Grafton's flavored cheddars add the tang of smoked maple wood, the hint of sage, or a spark of garlic to this superior cheese. Grafton Gold is the latest addition to the line of fine cheeses. Aged 3 years, the Gold has a robust, full flavor balanced by a smooth creaminess. Grafton's cheddars have been awarded the highest honors, but that's no surprise to the cheesemakers.
I've always thought it was real good cheese. I mean, I'm no cheese expert on the flavor taste, but I've learned to tell which one I like the best, and what we do is we all try it. And then the one that we like the best, we'll ship to this show, and we've won. So I guess it's a combination of everybody's taste, you know.
And taste is important. Everyone has a favorite way to eat Grafton's cheddars. For Scott Fletcher, it's a sandwich he calls the cheese dream.
It's like 2 pieces of French toast with cheese inside, and just cook one side, flip it over, cook the other, until the cheese gets melted. Pour a little maple syrup on top, so you're set for the day.
I like to take our smoked cheese on a cracker with a piece of pepperoni and melt the smoked cheese over the pepperoni. And that's great. Or garlic cheese on a hamburger.
Let cheddar reach room temperature before enjoying it on a cheese board. Tangy and tart fruits complement the cheddar's creamy richness. Grafton cheddar is used in many dishes served at the Old Tavern, including cream of cheddar and ale soup, and a salad of seasonal greens with Old Tavern buttermilk and Grafton cheese dressing.
Younger cheddars that have a great deal more butter fat are excellent for baking. And then older cheddars lend themselves well to soups. We also have an apple pie with the Grafton Gold extra sharp cheddar. I think it's a great combination.
Tradition, top quality ingredients, and a slow handmade process all come together to create this unique Vermont flavor. And the most important ingredient, pride.
Pride is in every piece of cheese that we make.
However you choose to enjoy it, savor this Vermont flavor. Bring a piece of it home with you and continue to enjoy the Grafton tradition of rich handmade cheddars.